Hello and welcome back. Well, welcome to our new time slot on a new day. Well, new day, not a new time slot. Welcome back to Chris, back to the show, who looks like a zombie. Did you see a ghost while you were gone, Chris, or are you just frozen? I think Chris is frozen, which is funny. The face he was frozen at was amazing. Very blank, Well, anyway, I told you guys on Sunday that Chris wasn't going to make it because he was somewhere without service. He just got back from Donbass. There he is.
Am I back? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay,
How was your trip?
It was very good. It was very good. Situation, of course, is...
There he goes again. Anyway, maybe he'll figure it out. But... So maybe you'll just have me today. Who knows? But thank you all for joining on our new day. Like we said, we're going to start doing 3 streams a week, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. So we'll keep our Sunday slot, try to do a nice big show on Sundays with at least a guest. Get one guest a week. This week, I think we will have David Hundayan, who is the Nigerian journalist and analyst. We'll be talking about him later on in the episode. But yeah, Chris, do you think you're stable?
I think so. Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
Oh, thank God. Yes. Going back to your original question, it was a very good trip, difficult trip. I was able to see some of the units in action, and I will say that a progress is being made on a few major fronts, especially in the Donetsk People's Republic and in the North group. But it's a difficult situation, and Russia, of course, is experiencing a tremendous amount of attacks against its civilian population, its infrastructure. And I have to say, people are angry. People are angry, and they want to see revenge. They want to see justice served to the Kiev regime. So I think, as I said today on RT, the spirit of Anchorage is gone, and I think the spirit of 1944 is here. You know, spirit of 1943, 42. 45, it's time to storm Kiev. So I think that people are getting angry. And by the way, there was some situations in the country people reported on. We saw it firsthand. But I will say, even through the difficulties, people are maintaining calm, composure, and very resilient people. And they keep saying,
very Russian.
Yeah, they said, listen, our grandparents went through worse. Our parents went through worse. We are going to get through it. So that's what's going to happen.
I'm sure we'll cover more of it on Thursday when Chris has gathered his person back together from the very harrowing drive from Moscow.
It was a harrowing drive.
It always is. But so for today, we've got some SCOTUS rulings, at least 3 of them. We're going to talk about 2 of them today. Obviously, an Israel update. These crazy rumors or stories or allegations coming out of Venezuela. The bombing of the Monaco embassy, consulate, whatever it was, or in Monaco, whatever it was. And then we'll close with these. I'll leave that one for a surprise. We'll do a surprise. I won't tell you. Oh, no spoilers. I'll keep the end. I'll keep the last segment of it. So, okay. SCOTUS rulings today. We had 2 big ones, to me anyway. We had the trans and sports thing, which I didn't even read up on. We have birthright citizenship. So the Supreme Court issued its final decisions of the term today, and it's a perfect portrait of exactly where this court is. They struck down Trump's attempt to end birthright citizenship, but they also unleashed unlimited corporate money into campaigns. So on January 20th, 2025, Trump's first day back in office, he signed an executive order to end birthright citizenship, which most of you guys will know. For people in other countries that may not have this, if you're born on U.S. soil, you automatically become a U.S. citizen. It doesn't matter who your parents are or what their immigration status is. And that's been a law since the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1868. Obviously, Trump wanted to change that. There is some birth tourism that goes on here, and then they call people anchor babies and all of that and whatnot. His legal argument was that the 14th Amendment doesn't actually say what everyone thinks it says. He argued the framers didn't intend automatic citizenship for everyone born here. The moment he signed it, the ACLU sued him, and that case went to the Supreme Court, who ruled not in Trump's favor, 6-3. Well, Trump crashed out and he congratulated China. Right. Because the Chinese are the ones that are coming over here to have babies and gain American citizenship. Last I checked,
Oh my God.
that are like Trump's oligarch friends from other countries. That's just, there goes Chris's video. That's okay. He'll just speak to us like the voice of God from the background. So every once in a while, I'll just hear him. But anyway, so Trump crashes out, congratulates Xi. It was obviously the Supreme Court upheld the lower court 6-3. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote the majority opinion, and he traced the history all the way back to English common law, the 14th Amendment in 1868, an 1898 Supreme Court case called United States versus Wong Kim, and that established this exact principle. So the Trump administration has our Supreme Court basically retrying cases. What a waste of time and resources.
And taxpayer dollars.
But in all fairness, I mean, other countries, a majority of countries do not have birthright citizenship, but a very large amount of them have it with restrictions. And I think that that is probably the move at this juncture. It's not like back in the day where you're like, I'm here because, and I can't really move out of here. Now it's like people can fly in, have a baby, get a citizenship, and fly back out. It's really not like that's not unheard of. I'm not blaming the immigrants or like the dreamers. I'm just thinking that there needs to be some sort of restrictions on it.
It's not unheard of, but I will say this as a warning, because I taught this in civics and in constitutional law, especially for my students. The rationale, this amendment that they are debating.
Slaves, right?
Yes. So these are the 13th Amendment, the 14th Amendment, and the 15th Amendment are the three critical amendments besides the Bill of Rights in the Constitution. Mm-hmm. They are called the Reconstruction Amendments. Why? Because they are post-Civil War. They are basically the Civil War amendments. Now, if you start, I think the rationale of the time period was, if you restrict citizenship, it will eventually be restricted for all, more or less. So this is George Galloway's point, by the way, good friend, dear friend of the show. Mm-hmm. George Galloway was the only member of parliament in the United Kingdom to vote against stripping UK citizens of their citizenship, even in the case that they were involved in a terrorist organization. And what ended up coming back to haunt this vote was that a British police officer who moved to Russia to be with his wife, to have a family, was stripped of his UK citizenship simply because the UK did not approve of him being in Russia and supporting Russia anymore. So the fear is that if you begin to strip or limit citizenship, then over time, you are going to get a further erosion of those rights. You can't build up rights as easy as you can tear them down. So my philosophy is, okay, say some people are anchor babies. I know many people who are born from anchor babies or have relatives who are anchor babies, but proportionally, they're not a big amount. However, you, me, and the other free thinkers, including our beloved Nick Cruz and everybody else, imagine one day we lose our citizenship simply for having alternative viewpoints about Israel, about Russia, about China, about Iran, etc. That's the fear.
I see what we're saying. We're saying protect all of the current citizen rights we have in order to prevent the erosion of us.
Correct.
The sort of slippery slope argument. I can get that. I can get that.
Correct. That's also what I believe in free speech, by the way. Like, that's why I don't mind the people from January 6th who were out there protesting and things like that. Protect their speech. I don't mind if people go out there and speak their minds. I think that's something that we should uphold as a value. And the left used to uphold it as a major value. They used to say, if they go after, for example, American National Socialist speech, American Nazi Party speech, they'll come after communist speech eventually and Black Panther speech. So
they're already coming for the communists.
So, well, yeah.
We'll cover that on Sunday.
better to have a blanket and cover everybody and protect everybody's speech than to have no speech at all. That's my argument.
I don't really get into these debates because I think people expect me to feel a certain way, and I just don't. Like, the immigrants that I live around are few and they're amazing. And I don't live around a very big influx of immigrants or Muslims or anything like that. So I try to just stay out of these conversations and do them as objectively as I can, because people get like really angry. But yeah, I don't really feel anything about the but what you're saying makes sense. Like when I saw that they upheld it, I was like, okay, whatever. But now that you're saying it could be a slippery
it's a very
slope,
big deal.
That makes a very
big deal. It's a big deal. This decision is a big deal. But there is a time bomb in that. And that's Justice Kavanaugh, who wrote another. I don't know if we put it in the notes here. He wrote another piece, and he said, however, Congress can modify citizenship without requiring a constitutional amendment. That was the opening.
Clarence Thomas also wrote the dissent. It was 91 pages, and then said that the majority of Americans have devalued citizenship. And I am not sure that, the majority of the Supreme Court had devalued American citizenship. And I am not sure that today's opinion will stand the test of time. From Clarence Thomas, experienced sexual harasser, at least, not rapist, but we'll just leave it at that. Yeah. All right. The other, this is the one that kind of gave me pause. The other SCOTUS ruling today, the massive ruling, this will reshape American politics. So we need to understand what the campaign finance law was before today. After Watergate, after Nixon, Congress passed something called the Federal Election Campaign Act. Some people call it FECA or FECA, which I think both sound retarded, but that was 1974. The whole point was to regulate campaign spending and prevent corruption. That's good, right? Political parties were allowed to spend unlimited money on what's called independent expenditures. So that means commercials, mailers, advertising, unlimited money, but it had to be independent. It was separate from a candidate's campaign. But the law also put caps on coordinated spending, which means money that a party spends directly within the candidate's campaign in coordination with that candidate. So those caps were quite tight. In 2026, before today, party committees could spend between $65,300 and $130,600 in coordinated spending with House candidates. And for the Senate candidates, it was $130,000 and $4 million. So there were caps on this spending. If a party could spend unlimited money coordinated with the candidate becomes essentially a puppet. Ed Galrain, he's a Navy SEAL. But starting in 2010 with Citizens United, the Supreme Court started chipping away at campaign finance restrictions. Citizen United said corporations have First Amendment rights. You guys probably all know that, making money free speech, and they struck down those limits. The ruling today, the Supreme Court sided with the Republicans. J.D. Vance previously said that caps on this were unconstitutional. So the Supreme Court ruled in the Republicans' favor 6-3, with Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote for the majority. He said the political spending is speech, and the First Amendment protects unlimited speech. Therefore, limits on coordinated party spending are unconstitutional, and all coordinated spending caps are gone. No, I think Chris is frozen, but I'm going to keep rocking and rolling. Before today, there were at least some theoretical constraints, but now it's kind of a free-for-all. Judge Elena Kagan, she wrote the dissent saying, the majority invalidates Congress's restriction of coordinated expenditures, thus enabling a party to serve as an alternative checking account for a campaign. She also wrote, the majority redefines the rules to allow circumvention of contribution limits. This was Trump's response to this. This came before the congratulations G. This was about at least an hour prior. But look at this. The Supreme Court just took restrictions off political spending. A big win for Republicans. And more importantly, the First Amendment. Okay, I'm not a money person. I personally hate money. And I don't think that money should be free speech. So outside of that, we've talked about the massive campaign spending that has gone into the campaigns of people like Ed Galrain, even Trump, right? And a lot of those were independent and not coordinated within the party, but this even rips those restrictions away. And we all know, I don't have any money either. So I can't be a money person. I don't understand economics anyway. But we do know that this this case rules in favor of Republicans. Republicans outraise Democrats corporately, not independently. The Democrats receive more of the independent grassroots single donations. The Republicans receive a lot more corporate donations, right? And as we know, a lot of people lately have been running on this grassroots, I don't take any money from AIPAC, et cetera, et cetera. This will pull back away from, they don't need to take money from AIPAC. They could get it right from the camp. They could get it right from the party. And so I'll have to look more into this. Yeah, I heard about Dan Kovalik. I'll touch on that in a bit when I have more info. But I don't really know how all of this will work in the long run, because we all know that Miriam Adelson has the capability of dumping billions of dollars into these elections, as well as, you know, her peers, the Larry Ellisons, the Ron Lauders and stuff. So it sounds really bad. I think it is really bad. I don't want to jump to conclusions, but this is kind of scary, right? We kind of saw if this happened with Massey, right, where this sort of massive influx of cash at least created the conditions to where, let's just say, benefit of the doubt, people wound up voting for Ed Galbraith, a person that they had no clue about, right? So, well, yeah, of course, AIPAC. I just use them as an example. Nobody talks about J Street, right? So, yeah, it's really bad. I'll dive into it more and probably talk about it a bit later on Spaces. But the last thing that our campaigns need in the United States is more money injected in them, more corruption. It's scary. But yeah, let's jump over to the other corruption central is Israel. Corruption and evil central, I guess. So yesterday there was a massive explosion in Lebanon. So what's interesting is that a week ago, when we talked about the Israelis being basically incinerated in their tanks while they were trying to invade southern Lebanon. And I remember an Israeli supporter / Hezbollahist came in and said, we found a tunnel. We're going to blow it up. And in that tunnel, there's hundreds of Hezbollah. So they've been saying that for at least a week. It was at least a week ago. And that bomb was dropped last night. So I don't know that, obviously, I never buy the Israeli story. So people are saying that looks like a tactical nuke. I don't think so, but we'll continue. According to Israel, the target was a 200-meter long Hezbollah tunnel in the village of Majalzoun. The tunnel ran underground and reached depths of over 25 meters and was used by Hezbollah to assemble, store, and launch Iranian-made unmanned aerial vehicles. So drones. One, it's significant because it demonstrates that Israel is obviously still conducting military operations in Lebanon. And this one was big enough to require advance notice to the United States. So they're allowing it to happen. So I don't know. It's kind of one of those things. I'm sure Syrian Girl has a big theory on it. She's kind of the nuke one, but I don't think it's a tactical nuke. Though I don't see a lot of secondary explosions that I would see from drones and missiles. But I don't know. I guess we'll put our tinfoil hats on after the show, and try to figure out what's going on. But Benjamin Netanyahu did visit Lebanon this morning. He said the IDF will stay in the security zone within Lebanon for as long as necessary in order to protect the dear residents of the north and all the citizens of Israel from Hezbollah attacks. Excuse me. He also claimed that Israeli operations have killed 9,000 Hezbollah fighters and that Hezbollah now possesses only 8% of its original 150,000 rocket and missile stockpile. He said Israel is creating what he called buffer zones and security zones on the Lebanese side of the border. He said verbatim, we are doing this in Gaza or in Lebanon, just as we did it in Gaza. So they are not planning to leave, which I think we all figured. But yes, he is feeling fine enough to wander around southern Lebanon this morning. And as this is happening, operations in Gaza continue.
هاي المطاف الجاي على الفاضي ايش متصور تقلقش
If you didn't see the Netanyahu video, I translated it and threw it up on the big account on Twitter, and it should be on the Telegram as well. If you guys missed it, I just posted it within the last few hours, so it's a recent post. But yes, so what you saw there is the bombing of Khan Yunis. I guess it's considered a refugee camp. I don't really know. A displaced persons camp. How can they be refugees on their own land? I don't even know. I don't know what to call it, but they're bombing the tents again. You know, while people are sort of paying attention to the talks, right? That's all people are talking about in the Iran talks, the Lebanon talks, how successful they were. It's just really sickening that it hasn't stopped, and they haven't addressed it. Nobody's addressing it. The fact that they're still bombing Gaza. So I just kind of wanted to recenter Gaza for a bit because I think that we lose sight of what they're going through, and it's still like incredibly terrifying, and the situation is not getting better. And so, yeah, it's important that we continue to keep the Gazans and Palestinians as a whole in our minds. And in other bad news, they are planning on developing 3 new settlements inside Gaza, 3 new Israeli settlements inside Gaza. Like you guys remember, they left Gaza. What was it? 2006 is when Israel left Gaza, right? And said, we're leaving it to the Palestinians. Well, they're coming back. Obviously, this is one of the children of Smotrich, Bezalel, or whatever his name is, Smotrich. And that other woman who is Danielle, is that her name? Her name is like escaping me for some reason. But so yeah, they're the settlement people. And here is Smotrich today.
זה ההר ששולט גיאוגרפית וטופוגרפית על כל המרחבים האלה. ואם אנחנו לא נהיה שם, חלילה, תהיה שם בסוף חמאס שמשתלט בשנייה אחת, ראינו באיזה מהירות הוא השתלט על עזה. ובסוף כשאנחנו מקימים 103 יישובים ו160 חוות וסוללים כבישים ומתכננים ומסדירים, אנחנו רוצים להביא 1,000,000 מתיישבים ליהודה ושומרון, כדי שלא יהיו טנדרים אחר כך ברעננה, בכפר סבא, בפתח תקווה, בתל אביב, בבאר שבע ובעפולה. וזה נכון, חס וחלילה.
So as you could see, they want to put 1,000,000 Israeli settlers into the West Bank, as if the maniacs that already live there aren't enough. So it's a full-on ethnic cleansing in Palestine while all eyes are on the genocide in Lebanon. That's continuing. There was subtitles, if you didn't see them. Were the subtitles too small? But yeah, he says that he wants 1,000,000 new Israeli settlers in the West Bank, basically, and that they'll bust them in. And I'm not sure if I'm sure he means to kick people out of their homes and sort of occupy the place and terrorize people. So the struggle with Israel still continues. Currently in the West Bank, though, only about 470,000 Israeli settlers live there, but he's calling to more than double it. In June 2026, a planning committee approved 2,162 new Jewish homes in the West Bank, 1,006 near Jerusalem, 922 near Nablus, 234 near Hebron, And he also signed an NIS 2 billion, well, that's, Israeli shekels, 2 billion agreement to advance the construction of 6,000 more apartments in the settlement of Karne Shamron, which he mentions in that video, if you guys saw. He's also calling for the dismantling of the Palestinian Authority entirely, which, we shouldn't dismantle it, but they're not really a threat to Israel in any way. Abolishing the Oslo Accords. Again, what do the Oslo Accords do for Palestine? Bill Clinton mess that he created. Removing the distinctions between areas A, B, and C in the West Bank. I'm really bad at this, but some of you guys probably know that the West Bank is divided into different areas that have sort of different jurisdictions and different laws and like certain curfews and who can live there and whatnot. So, and they're addressed as three different areas. Well, he wants to get rid of that distinction and apply full Israeli sovereignty over the entire territory. He said, on my watch, there will not be a Palestinian state. Full stop. 1 million settlers. That's the plan. So that's where we stand. Gaza is being settled. Lebanon is being occupied and genocided. The West Bank is doubling its settler occupation. And all while J.D. Vance and Narco Rubio and Donald Trump all tell us that the talks are great. Everything's great. Things are so good between Israel and Lebanon. It will get worse before it gets worse. That's probably an understatement. But I like it. I'm gonna steal that. Don't copyright it. I don't know why there's so many are helping them. I don't know. I really don't know. Remember we covered the Lukashenko thing? Lukashenko came out and Lukashenko's so blunt. That's why he's my favorite. Like he's not very diplomatic. He's very blunt. That's just his personality. And he said, what Holocaust are you even want us to feel bad about? You want to talk about a Holocaust? You're killing everybody in Gaza. And then 2 days later, a bus full of Belarusian children was struck with a drone. I don't know. But I'm running out of ideas and getting really blackpilled. So also happening today with the Iran negotiations, which I'm kind of confused about. So Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are in Doha because those two, I'm not even going to say the word, I'll get banned, are always in the mix. Trump said yesterday publicly on social media that Iran had requested a meeting with U.S. officials in Doha today and said Steve and Jared would be meeting with Iran. But Qatar's foreign ministry came out and said there are no direct meetings planned between the United States and the United States and the Iranians today. So another Trump lie. And here is foreign ministry spokesperson.
امروز هم در جلسه سخنگویی من توضیح دادم ما هیچ برنامه مذاکراتی طی چند روز آینده در هیچ سطحی با طرف آمریکایی نداریم. اعزام هیئت کارشناسی جمهوری اسلامی ایران به ریاست آقای غریب آبادی معاون حقوق بین‌المللی وزارت امور خارجه که همزمان مذاکره کننده ارشد ما هستن، مسئولیت تیم کارشناسی ما رو بر عهده دارن، در راستای پیگیری اجرای مفاد یادداشت تفاهم هست. از 28 خرداد که یادداشت تفاهم امضا شد تا به امروز خب ما از هر فرصتی استفاده کردیم برای اطمینان از اجرای بخش‌های مختلف این یادداشت تفاهم. از بند 1 که خب به نوعی مهمترین بخش این یادداشت تفاهم هست، ناظر بر خاتمه جنگ در همه جبهه‌ها از جمله لبنان، تا بندهای مربوط به خاتمه محاصره دریایی یا موضوعات مرتبط با آزادسازی دارایی‌های مسدود شده یا محدود شده ایران. اینها مواردی است که خب نیازمند پیگیری مستمر هست و این جلسه‌ای که در دوحه برگزار میشه در رابطه با همین موضوع است. با قطر خواهد بود.
خب بند یک رو اشاره کردید، لبنان هم مورد بحث قرار میگیره، یعنی تحقق آتش بس در لبنان؟
ببینید ما از هر فرصتی استفاده خواهیم کرد برای مرور اجرای همه بخش‌های یادداشت تفاهم. در نشست فردا عمدتا متمرکز خواهیم بود بر موضوعات مرتبط با در دسترس قرار گرفتن دارایی‌های آزاد شده ایران و سایر بخشام حتما مرور خواهیم کرد. خب بند یک بند مهمی است، هم از طریق میانجی ها، از طریق تبادل پیام و هم فردا هم غالبا در این مورد بحث خواهد شد، بحث توقف جنگ در لبنان با همه مختصاتی که توضیح داده شده و در بند یک هم اشاره شده بشه.
So as you can see, major hangups, obviously the United States not upholding their end of the MOU, not unfreezing assets. They're still messing around inside of the strait. And obviously, and most importantly, like Ismail Bagheri says, that they're still bombing Lebanon, which was number one thing. But we have the agreement that Netanyahu rushed to put between him and Lebanon, which actually undermines the MOU. So it's a very precarious situation because Iran went forward to just stop the carnage in Lebanon, regardless of who it was on, right? They wanted all bombings to stop all the way north to Beirut and the surrounding areas and all the way south to the border where there was, they wanted all bombing to stop. Benjamin Netanyahu comes in and makes a deal with Joseph Aoun of Lebanon, who is a puppet at best. And that completely undermines the MOU and in fact splits Lebanon in half. But the Americans say nothing about it, completely cucked to the Israelis. Why don't the Americans say anything about the Israelis meeting with the Lebanese and undermining their own MOU? Oh, that's right. They hosted the fucking meeting. So why would they say anything? They wanted it to be a victory. The United States got Israel and Lebanon to talk in this diplomatic victory. And what did it do? It created conditions more conducive to civil war in Lebanon. Obviously, the agreement between Israel and Lebanon needs to be ratified by the Lebanese parliament, and it won't be. But the point of it was to undermine the Americans and to split Lebanon in half. And the American cucks said nothing about it. They said nothing about it. And that piece of shit, J.D. Vance, is on today saying the talks between Israel and Lebanon are going great. The agreement's great. Well, Iran, okay, so this is Iran's way of protecting Lebanon. We're not going to participate in these talks. We'll allow you guys to talk about unfreezing our assets, but we're not participating in any further talks because he said, just like the foreign ministry spokesperson said, number one clause is the most important. That's why it was number one. Right? But like I talked about on Jamarl's show yesterday, we kind of spitballed. We said we were afraid that Iran was walking into a trap or walking Lebanon into a trap. If Iran bombs Israel, they will retaliate on Lebanon. So it would have to be a huge, decisive attack. What are your thoughts about all of this, Chris, if you're with us?
I'm with you. I mean, I think that, listen, we've been saying all along that the MOU was basically pregnant with its own unraveling, with its own contradiction, as we say in philosophy, and that ultimately the fact that Lebanon was put as a central issue, number one, included in these talks, especially with the ceasefire necessary in all fronts and amongst all the allies of the belligerent party and of the resistance parties, I think that it's clear that Israel was unwilling to do this. The United States was actually really unwilling to do this. And Iran knew that both of them were unwilling to do this and basically said, okay, now we're going to show the world who you truly are. Right? Because if they had not put it in there, people would be like, oh, well, Iran is just helping their proxy. But Iran put it there as a condition. And not just Hezbollah, they put all of Lebanon. Right? So now it's revealing simultaneously the collaborators in Lebanon, the just resistance in Lebanon, and the world is understanding who the right and who the wrong are in this situation, right? And that's very important because now the photographs coming out of Joseph Aoun and all this stuff, I mean, people are very angry about what they're seeing. And the fact that Israel and the Lebanese government, which does not represent all the Lebanese people, as you well know, in fact, the minority of the people, that they are horrified that Lebanon has signed this agreement with Israel.
It's terrifying. It's a completely new legal framework outside
Absolutely.
of international law and the UN. It's scary. But we talked about that at length on Sunday, so I won't bore you guys too much. Let's hop over to Venezuela. We haven't really talked a lot about this because I kind of wanted to wait for, I don't want to say the dust to settle. That's terrible pun, but I wanted to wait for more information, but we did touch on it the other day. Let's take a look at some of the aftermath. What's happening? Well, go ahead, Chris. Go ahead.
I would say first and foremost, on behalf of the DD Geopolitics family, we extend our condolences and sympathies to all of those who have lost loved ones in this horrific natural disaster. And of course, we're so thankful to all of the countries that have responded to the call, especially those fraternal nations of Venezuela that have been there since the beginning in terms of the anti-imperialist global South bloc. But it does come at a very, very, very complex moment in Venezuela's history, in Venezuela's political life. We've seen what's happened over the past year or so. And it's hard for me. I was just in Venezuela, in the fall. So it's very hard for me to see this. I've been in touch with some people on the ground, but it comes at a very tough time after President Nicolas Maduro and his wife were kidnapped. About 100 people were killed in a U.S. operation, including 30 or so Cubans. And now you have this devastating earthquake in the midst of, the United States stealing all of Venezuela's oil revenue. So it's hard. It's hard.
Exactly.
We're thinking of all of our people over there for sure.
Yeah, I reached out to Angel yesterday, but everything about this is exposing United States foreign policy for what it is. Okay. And the fact that people are putting it like the styrofoam video, you guys understand that when people build a balcony, they fill the concrete is filled with a lighter material. So it can be a balcony, right? Like it's like propaganda to be like, look at how socialism doesn't work. It's like you've had them sanctioned since the Bolivar Revolution or since Chavez Revolution. Like you've had them sanctioned for half a century. What are you talking about? Like people like it's just insane to me. And this is also to say like, oh, well, that Maduro that corrupt Maduro regime is gone. Look at what they did. It's so grotesque. But at the same time, well, you know what? It really does expose the United States foreign policy and how it works in the region. Tens of thousands are missing, but the U.S.'s response is just embarrassing, as if we could be more embarrassed. So just so you guys have some background. Right. So these earthquakes hit on June 24th, 2 twin earthquakes, first 7.2 and then 39 seconds later, a 7.5. These are the strongest earthquakes seen on Venezuela since 1900. Right now, the official death toll is sitting at about 1,719 people, but there's over 5,000 injured and 50,000 people still missing. And you guys saw in that last part of that edit was the photos of the footage of the coffins being stacked up. So, and as we know now, the 72-hour survival window has passed. It's expired. Though there was miraculously a child pulled out of the rubble after 122 hours. Alhamdulillah. So there's still some hope in some places, But the situation is very, very bleak. The UN estimates the damage at 6.7 billion. Over 12,000 people have lost their homes. And obviously hospitals are overwhelmed, and so are utilities. Critical infrastructure has been destroyed. But that's not the story. The story is that the United States has seized 5.49 billion of of Venezuela's oil revenue in 2026. $5.49 billion of Venezuela's money stolen by the United States. The United States, not to mention, the United States also has 30 billion in frozen Venezuelan assets. Frozen. So not available to Venezuela during a natural disaster. And what did the United States say? We'll give you 150 million. It never fucking ends.
So crazy.
It never fucking ends with these people. And they'll let them languish there.
For sure they will. Don't you remember Donald Trump in Puerto Rico throwing the
paper towels?
Paper towels.
Disgusting. I know you guys probably heard about the other sensational stories coming out of Venezuela. We've refrained from reporting on it and tried to get and wait, let me put icing on this shit cake. The 150 million, guess who gets to decide who gets the money? They're going through faith-based organizations. All of the relief is going through faith-based organizations. All I'm hearing is evangelicals and Jews. That's what I'm hearing in my head. Do you think evangelicals and Jews are going to go down there and take care of the Catholic Venezuelans, or they're just going to money launder money and abscond with it? What do you guys think is going to happen? What happened to Haiti? I think they actually upped it to 300 million now because people were throwing a fit. But thank you so much for the 300 million out of the 35 billion you have stolen. Not to mention the gold that's still held in the United Kingdom you will not give back to Venezuela. Disgusting, disgraceful. And these people are supposed to be like our brothers and sisters. These are our neighbors. This isn't like some Southeastern Asian country that we have no relations with. These are our neighbors. These are people in our backyard. This would be like if Russia took 30 billion of Moldova's money and kept it. Could you imagine the outrage? Could you imagine? Disgusting. Disgusting. And now Machado wants to come back. Just filth. But anyway, so the sensational stories that are coming out of Venezuela of potential child trafficking and kidnappings going on. We do know that there, as of yesterday when I spoke to our people in Caracas, there were at least 2 confirmed cases, but we don't have a whole lot of concrete proof yet. I'm not willing to dismiss it because we obviously won't get concrete proof until maybe never, but until, some things are a little bit more clarified. There was a guy that appeared on Alex Jones. If you guys want to check that out. But I also want to make a note of who is there doing the rescuing. Let's take a look. That's an Israeli rescue team. Faith-based NGOs are handling the aid, the relief, and Israeli rescue teams and NGOs are in there going through the rubble. Not to mention, and I looked it up today, they're the search drones, they're all Israeli too.
What was it? Hugo Chavez said, I smell the sulfur in here, right?
Exactly. So the Israelis have already ran right in there.
Where were the Israeli search teams in Gaza?
It's scary. It's really scary. But we know what happened in Haiti. We know what happened in Ukraine. We know what happened. So I won't dismiss it at all. I just don't have a lot of concrete proof yet. Just wanted to get more information for you guys before I presented it as factual. But we do have 2 confirmed cases, and we do have some parents that are complaining they cannot find their children. But again, lots of children are trapped in places or maybe just separated from their parents. But I'm sure that this is also happening.
This is a shock doctrine moment, by the way.
Mm-hmm. Disaster capitalists.
That's it.
And before we move on from South America, I'm going to toss it over to Chris. Guys, also don't forget the United States abducted President Maduro in January of this year. We have no idea where he is. We have no idea. We haven't seen a trial. We haven't seen a testimony. We haven't seen anything. We have no idea where Maduro is. And Delcy, I'm not going to call her any names yet, but where is the campaign to release Maduro? The person who put you in the position that you're in, where is the campaign to release him and his innocent wife? Insanity. It really is. It really is insane. And let's stick with it. There's more insanity. So Peru had their election a couple weeks ago, was ratified or certified, whatever you would call it, over the weekend. Keiko Fujimori, why she's winning an election in Peru. This would be like if Vivek Ramaswamy was our president. It's about the same. It's about the same. Peru's Electoral Commission has officially declared right-wing candidate Keiko Fujimori the winner of the tightly contested presidential runoff against leftist Roberto Sanchez Cerón, making her Peru's first female president. And where is she? Here she is. Keiko. As you guys remember, we covered it on our show. My favorite, Pedro Castillo, and his beautiful hat were wrongfully imprisoned because the United States staged a coup in Peru. But let me just give you a little bit more background of Keiko. Keiko is the daughter of former President Alberto Fujimori, whose regime in the 1990s forged deep military-industrial ties to Israel that continue to shape Peru's foreign policy today. During Fujimori's presidency, his intelligence chief, Vladimiro Montesinos, utilized Israeli arms dealers, including Israeli Air Force pilot Moshe Rothschild, to secure dozens of fighter jets for Peru's military. Following the collapse of his regime in 2000, Peru sought Rothschild's extradition from Israel, but they refused. More recently, Peru's Ministry of Defense finalized a major contract with Israeli defense company Elbit Systems. You guys know about those guys.
We
to
know
upgrade the country's military capabilities. Think surveillance. Former President Alejandro Toledo, who followed Alberto Fujimori, also maintained close ties to Israel. His wife, Eliane Karp, holds Israeli citizenship. Alex Karp. Toledo even fled to Israel in 2017 amid his corruption and bribery charges. So that's what we've got going on in Peru. Here's your updated map of South America holding on for dear life. I think Uruguay is a mistake. I think that should still be red. But other than that, here's your updated map. It's almost over.
Oh my God.
It's almost over. And we have to make note that Brazil's almost taken over completely because they have those insane evangelicals down there and Lula's holding on by a thread.
The Isaac Accords literally taking control of an entire hemisphere.
Literally. And as you guys know, we covered Planandinia on our show extensively. Well, here's a video from Peru.
Isn't it insane? Israeli groups are plastering soldier stickers all over campsites in Peru and putting up no entry signs like they own the trail. This is a campsite where they are put and it says prohibited. Even my local guide is fed up with it. I mean, is this what travel entitlement looks like in 2026?
They're doing the same thing in Peru now.
God almighty. God almighty. God save us all.
Back to you, Chris, for the Monaco bombing.
Well, I mean, today, we got to say this is a historic moment. This is, according to reports from Monaco, this is Monaco's first ever terrorist attack, quote unquote.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
Yes. So this is Monaco's first ever terrorist incident of this kind. And they're freaking out. I mean, you can imagine the European elite are freaking out that, oh, Monaco, our beloved Monaco. What happened here? So on the evening of June 29th, so just, within the past day or so, a backpack bomb packed with bolts and metal shot exploded as a residential building in Monaco. I think we have...
you want the explosion? I got you.
Yeah. If we can click that, let's go there.
So are the Ukrainian oligarchs finally killing each other?
I think that is exactly what we're seeing. This is, of course, the aftermath of this backpack bomb. So let's discuss. So who was the target for this? It was Ukrainian oligarch from Dnipropetrovsk, Vadym Yermolaiev. Now, he was targeted along with, I guess, I don't know, think that the bomber necessarily wanted to.
Is this guy Jewish?
He might be.
He looks it. That's anti-Semitic, isn't it? Sorry.
That's okay. We forgive you, especially
The
after.
other guy doesn't look Jewish. He doesn't look Jewish. He looks Ukrainian. This guy doesn't look Ukrainian.
You remember Andrei Afanasyev, Ukrainian?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he was the target clearly, but his partner and his 13-year-old daughter were also injured.
Okay.
He sustained shrapnel wounds and burns, but remained conscious. His partner's injuries were more severe. Sadly, doctors had to amputate both her legs. His daughter suffered moderate injuries and is in stable condition. Monaco's government, of course, as I said, this is the first ever terrorist attack. No motive has been named yet. However, we here at DD Geopolitics have been following what's going on in Ukraine from the very beginning. You can say that we're a bit of experts in this realm. So who is this Yermolaiev figure? He's an oligarch, founded a private business group in the 1990s when everybody made their fortune due to disaster capitalism, due to Katastroika, as it was called. And he basically had the real estate wing of his company, alcohol production, agribusiness, construction, you name it. In 2021, Forbes Ukraine put his fortune at $221 million. Now, that doesn't sound like a lot.
It's not.
Not a lot. Compared to, we got Elon Musk at $1 trillion. But what is interesting is that he was involved in a scheme for his own company, which was a winery. And basically, when Crimea went back to the motherland, he basically just transitioned his business from Ukrainian-controlled Crimea and re-registered the company in Russia and then continued business as usual in Crimea.
He is Jewish. He was one of the 4 main sponsors of the Golden Rose Synagogue in Dnipropetrovsk, one of the largest synagogues in Europe, with support of the Chabad Lubavitch movement.
The Lubavitch. We're back, baby. We're back. We
never went far. We have a short documentary from RT on the Yermolaiev family. Let's see.
Let's take a look at that.
Руководит данной группой гражданин Украины Vadym Yermolaiev, который прошел стандартный путь бизнесмена из 90-х. Если мы говорим про второе крыло данной коммерческой криминальной группы, то это его сын. Он курирует деятельность сети мошеннических колл-центров.
Быстрее работают публикации, общественный резонанс, чем цельные запросы, которые вообще могут месяцами идти. Мы надеемся, что это когда-нибудь изменится. И мировое сообщество начнет воспринимать телефонный скам как экономический терроризм. Взять хотя бы нашу любимую группу компании «Алеф». Они настолько обнаглели, что стали предоставлять услугу. Офис под ключ, франшизу. Только они больше 200 офисов построили в Украине и за рубежом. Сотни подставных фирм и компаний офшорах. Мы передали сведения на группу компании «Алеф» и на основателей эту семейку Ермолаева.
Артур Ермолаев, сын главы группы «Алеф» и куратор именно мошеннического крыла, был задержан на Кипре по постановлению Интерпола и экстрадирован в Эстонию. Он был признан виновным, его вина была доказана, и ему было назначено наказание в виде штрафа в размере 8,5 миллионов евро. Это покрывает ущерб гражданам Эстонии, после чего, насколько нам известно, он был отпущен непосредственно в зале суда. На него возложена обязанность соблюдать законы Эстонии в течение 5 лет, что, конечно, звучит достаточно сомнительно. По нашим данным, потерпевшие есть не только в Эстонии, а в большом количестве стран Евросоюза. Потерпевшие от деятельности его колл-центров есть и в России. Поэтому такое решение выглядит, мягко говоря, неубедительно.
So a family of scammers holds government office in Ukraine. What else is new?
Not much is new. I mean, Ukraine basically, having just come back from the Donbass, all of the people that are our besties over there and our comrades and our beloved ones always say, what is Ukraine but a mafia state? It's really nothing more or nothing less. It really is, it was always the periphery of the Russian Empire when it was centered in Moscow. And as such, it became the land of brazen criminality. So that's what you have still going on today. Now, you might be wondering, what does all of this mean? What does all of this mean? I would, if you want to learn more, first of all, I'm sure all of you are like, what is this Aleph group, Cyprus, Estonia? Oh my God. Check out the description. Watch this documentary. It's phenomenal. It's fantastic. It'll open your minds. It's called Mask of Deception, the Aleph Scam. And this Aleph group is the one that Yermolaiev started and owns and his family runs. Check it out from RT Doc. By the way, this documentary came out prior to this happening. Just goes to show you what kind of good journalism RT is doing, even though the Western elite keep on saying, RT is Kremlin propaganda. Well, clearly they're telling the truth because Yermolaiev was just subject to a bombing in Monaco.
Right, and here's the suspect.
There's the wow, look at
yeah, right. Looks like Mr. Magoo. And here's the suspect from the Sherry shooting. They might be the same guy.
You think so?
The producer thought it might be. Do they look at that weird nose? It's almost like a weird nose and a cleft.
No, but it looks like look like gained some weight a little bit. Look like maybe get a little bit fat. Get a little bit.
We'll leave it to the Russians.
What is this? A little bit of that gut.
The attack was orchestrated by okay, got it.
So what we know is that the attack, according to initial estimates, it was organized by maybe the SBU. Why, you might be asking? Because Yermolaiev himself has funded opposition figures to who? Zelensky. Which means that this is actually Jewish infighting.
I don't want to laugh because I feel horrible for the partner and the daughter. The partner, maybe not. I do for now. She's innocent until I know more about her, but I feel really bad for the daughter. No,
the daughter, of course, people are always like, oh, evil Russia, evil, both totalitarian, authoritarian. Russia doesn't target civilians. But you can even see that when Ukrainians attack Ukrainians, never mind Russian civilians, which they've killed kids in Starobelsk. I just was in Starobelsk for the second time for the 40 days in Starobelsk. The kids in the bus going, the Belarusian team. This 6-month-old that was just killed today in Moscow, which I spoke about today live on air. That shows, and then this bomb, that shows. Do you remember? You know what? We don't have the scene, and it might get blocked on YouTube. But do you remember the scene in what was it? In Scarface, where he has to blow up the car of this politician who's giving the speech at the UN, and he sees Tony Montana sees the family and the children and says, what does he say?
He doesn't go through with that.
Right, he doesn't go through it. We don't kill kids.
Yeah.
Like, okay, but we have we have codes like omerta for the mafia, blah, blah, blah. But one of the things is you don't target innocent women and children. For Ukrainians, that is the code, is you do target women and children. Forget about everything else.
You know who else does that? The Israelis. They're very obsessed with bloodlines and like blood feuds and blood rivals. They want to kill the kids.
Yes, of course they do, because it goes back, so Israeli, Ukrainian sounds like the same thing. By the way, I forgot who. Stas, our good friend Stanislav Kropivnik had on Jim Jatras, who we should have on the show as well. Jim Jatras was saying that the heavenly Jerusalem is Khazaria for the Jews.
I'm a Khazar theory. I support it.
Well, yes, and he was clearly saying that's the case.
Mm-hmm.
That's the case.
A lot of people don't. I support Khazar theory, but I think I know more. I know a lot about it. So unfortunately,
I know exactly. Now you might be wondering. We got to get to another parallel. a protected rival network, which I had here. I wanted to highlight for everybody. We have it also. Check out our Telegram, our stream, our X, our everything, because we got a lot of information out there. It's going to help you connect the dots here. So parallel to this, we have this Sergei Lysak figure. He's a career Ukrainian security general. He ran Dnipropetrovsk regional administration from February 2023 to October 2025, the same city and years as Yermolaev's empire. So you might be saying, okay, what's the connection here?
And the synagogue.
Maybe. So there's this picture for those that, wow.
Looks Ukrainian. Not Ukrainian. He looks like a real Ukrainian.
looks like a real Ukrainian.
Yeah.
So open source investigations into Dnipro's call center underworld found that Lysak personally protected a separate fraud network known as the Devyatki, or the Nines, and conclude the scheme likely required sign-off from the very top of where? The presidential office. Who was the chief of staff of Zelensky? Andrei Yermak. See, everybody's starting to make the connections. Everybody's starting to make the connections here of the corruption and all this. So 2 separate fraud networks in the same city, the same years. One gets dismantled by foreign courts after its owners is sanctioned by the Ukrainian government. As I said, Yermolaiev was funding Zelensky's opponents. Zelensky then slaps on a 10-year sanction on him and freezes his accounts and things like that. Then starts the feud between the two. But at the same time as this call center scam is going on from Yermolaiev, Lysak and his crew are doing a call center scam and defrauding Russians. But that's with the approval of Yermak and the entire Zelensky regime. Oh! There you go. The level
and they're
of
so
corruption.
Ghetto too. It's like ghetto corruption. They're like, "What do you do? We run call center scams."
It's the worst.
It's so ghetto.
It's the worst. I mean, it makes the Sopranos look like an actual like A+ outfit. At least they had unions and they were just stealing
they ran
from
a strip
construction
club.
sites.
They had establishments.
Exactly. They had establishments. They had restaurants and
Call
cafes.
centers. Like, what the hell?
What is this? We have some other friends who are friendly to Israel who have call centers as well.
Meet me at the body beady bucket. Those.
Exactly. So all that to say that we have two fraudsters, 2 fraud centers of power. One is sanctioned, one is allowed to continue. And as you all know, President Zelensky is under investigation. Well, he's not really president anymore. He's actually a usurper. But in any case, Zelensky is under investigation, ongoing investigation. You remember, we've been talking about this for a year plus at this point. The NABU and its partner, SAPO, and all these groups that are trying to go after the Ukrainian authorities for their corruption. And you see they've been stonewalled and redlined and trying to protect that inner circle of Zelensky. He'll bury anybody around him, but he protects himself. Of course, Zelensky, I wear the military uniform, the shirt and everything, and I'll put on a little jacket for Trump. But that's the level of corruption and depravity at this point. So I wanted to highlight that, and I think that we're going to continue to highlight this. We're going to continue to bring a lot of this to you all because it's very important to understand and to unravel what's going on behind the scenes in Ukraine. We also have, there are multiple assassinations of high-level figures in Ukrainian orbit. There's also attempted assassinations. Remember, they attempted to assassinate, what was his name? The dual citizen, the other Jewish guy, business guy.
The Tatar?
I think so. The one who looks like a,
I know
the bigger face,
The producer's going to scream his name in a second. Watch.
He went to Israel, and then they tried to assassinate him there.
Yep, he was swimming in the ocean.
So you see, there's a lot of Mindich. So you see, there's a lot of assassination attempts going on out there. And I can see all their faces in my head, but their names all kind of get,
Yeah,
just,
I saw his face too, that big
just like
moon face. I just don't want anybody's kid. I don't want kids getting hurt. That's
no kids. Listen, I follow the rule: no kids. Leave
kids.
the kids alone. Leave the kids alone.
But I love a good elites fighting elites fight. Like,
of course.
Let them fight.
Let them fight, exactly like the meme. But that's where we're at. So we are having bombings in Monaco, and everything that the Ukrainian regime has reaped and has brought out, and the Europeans with their support are now sowing it. They're reaping it. The Ukrainians have sowed it. So there you have it. So all the violence that you saw in Ukraine all these years, and people were like, oh, no, it's nothing. It's just a small things. All that kind of gangster, that vigilantism, that, horrific crimes and criminality, all that's coming into Europe's borders, which is why some people were joking and saying, yeah, Europe, take all the Ukrainians, take them all. You want them, take them all, because they're going to undo you from the inside. And that's what's happening at this point.
And what's this? Le Figaro is investigating the SBU?
Yes. So they're looking at whether this attack was carried out by the SBU against Yermolaiev. But of course, nobody's going to go deep into that because the SBU is. What are they going to do?
Yeah, what are they going to do? Discipline the SBU? They're going to discipline Zelensky?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah,
I don't think so.
Let's hop over to a happier continent, finally, for once. Africa.
It's time for Africa.
It's time for Africa. That was my song.
There you
All
go.
right.
You see?
But this is good news. So obviously, 3 days ago, was it 3 days now? Ibrahim Traoré severed ties with France.
Yes, it was necessary.
I started noticing a very weird narrative trap being set around him, and it's designed to make you miss what he's actually doing. So 3 days after he severs ties with France, he accepted credentials from an Israeli ambassador, and people lost their minds.
I'm sure they did.
What actually happened, and what does it say about Western leftists or just people who with knee-jerk reactions? So on the 26th, they announced they were going to sever ties with France completely, finally, go off done. So Traoré has thrown all of them out. They said France is operating under neocolonial ambitions and which they have made evident by its active support for subversive networks and the terrorists who are plunging our country and the Sahel into mourning. So there have been a rash of terror attacks. I don't know if you guys have noticed, but there's been a rash of anti-Russian or anti-Africa Corps propaganda running around. That's because of this, because they are funding the terrorists that the Africa Corps and the Malians and the Burkinabes, what they're all doing to fight these guys. So when they say, oh my God, look, they chopped the head off or they killed this guy, blah, 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 blah. It's usually a militant. There have been how many attempts on Ibrahim Traoré's life? Over 30? He's getting close to Castro. He's going to be Castro.
It's going to get close to Castro.
It's going to get close to Castro. But anyway, so everybody saw this post right here and freaked the hell out. Ambassador of Israel to Ivory Coast, Benin, Togo, and Burkina Faso. International Affairs, Middle East, Africa, and then this is Ibrahim Traoré receiving his letter of credence. But obviously it has proposed community notes, but I'm not going to talk about those. Those came after the fact. But guys, look at the account. IBSI. They should say, what the hell is IBSI? I've never seen this before. Take a look. Where is IBSI located? Oh, it's in Charlotte, North Carolina. And it stands for Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel. So I had a few friends send me the post of Ibrahim Traoré with the Israelis, and they were like, "Oh my God, what's happening?" And I was like, I need to know more about it. I don't freak out when stuff like this happens. It's usually very mundane or something very silly. So the narrative is that after severing ties with France, he kind of pivots and turns to his new imperial power of Israel. That's not what's happening. There is no Israeli ambassador to Burkina Faso. There never has been. Never. Right. There's an ambassador to Ivory Coast who's accredited then to multiple subsequent countries. When a new ambassador is accredited to multiple countries, it's standard diplomatic protocol that they present their credentials to the head of state, all three countries. Right. It takes 20 minutes. It's not a treaty. There's no relationship. It's just a diplomat doing his job and Ibrahim Traoré being a president and just receiving the letter. It's really, really not that big. What's more important is now we come upon this thing called International Institute for Black Solidarity with Israel, who's pushing narratives. So I'll be digging into that rabbit hole later for our preparation for our show on Sunday with David Hundayan. But I want to read you his post. If you guys aren't following him, he's probably the best person to follow for Sahel politics. He's fantastic. Lots of followers. He's obviously located in West Africa, and he'll be on the show. He's a fellow from Cambridge. He'll be on the show on Sunday, I believe. I just have to confirm. He did say yes. I'm just going to confirm. But he wrote, and this is verbatim, 3 days after Traoré is all over the news for breaking off diplomatic relations with France, which gets a good reception, some obscure Christian Zionist Twitter handle puts out a bullshit tweet portraying a routine change of an accredited Israeli ambassador as Traoré developing closer ties with Israel. And you bunch supposedly anti-imperialist dumbasses fall for the head fake instantly without making any attempt to even understand what you're looking at. And this is precisely why I have zero interest in any kind of Western leftism. Your racist, one-dimensional, brainless, uncritical imperial reflexes are stronger than your supposed ideology. Your own governments are all actively helping Israel murder Gazans and massacre Iranian schoolgirls, and you can't do anything about that. But you can always pass your dumb reactive judgments on an African who is actually leading a successful anti-imperialist project without giving him the 30 seconds of grace it would have taken you to Google Burkina Faso's relationship with Israel and realize there is no Israeli ambassador to Burkina Faso. And there has always been an Israeli ambassador to the Ivory Coast who is accredited to Burkina Faso and Togo. And it is ordinary diplomatic process for every new ambassador to officially present himself to all three countries. You utter bunch of utter idiots who come from countries led by Epstein leaders with rape convictions cannot Google things before eagerly pouncing on Ibrahim Traoré to wank your outrage off as if he is the problem.
Powerful words. Powerful words.
I think that it, you know, that should have been the initial reaction when someone showed me the post. I should have said we can't even get the Israeli control out of our city governments, and you're upset. Like, what are you even looking at and trashing Ibrahim or even questioning him about it? The man who led a revolution through Burkina Faso and has been called Sankara 2.0. It's just the audacity. So I really appreciate David's reaction. And
he's not in the Epstein files.
He's not in the Epstein files. That's for sure.
I'm just saying.
That's for sure. So yeah, guys, beware of propaganda. I've noticed a lot of these sort of anti-country propaganda, whether it's Russia, Burkina Faso, Lebanon, a little bit of China. It's all sort of related. When you see an uptick in propaganda, you should look and see what's actually going on in the country. Yes. Ibrahim Traoré is up against a ton of terrorism in his country, of no doing of his own.
Ton.
So he's and at the same time they're trying to smear him, maybe inspire a coup, maybe inspire some sort of protest. Who the hell knows? Regardless, we need to be really vigilant. That's all.
I agree, 100%. Everybody stay sharp. You know, keep an open mind. Keep critically thinking. There's a lot going on. Listen, I have to say, before we do the super chats here, I have to say that we are in a difficult moment. Everybody stay strong. Everybody hold your heads high. We're going to get through everything. The victory is going to be ours at the end of the day. In Russian, we say, Pobeda будет za nami. Victory will be ours. So that's it. Victory is ours.
They also say Ya tvoya karma, which means I am your karma. So there's that.
I like that. I like that.
We got one super chat today. We do need to cover South America. We need to do a South American episode. I have Bolivians, Colombians. I have a few that I need to bring on the show and talk to.
Are there Brazilian elections this year?
I think so. And
Flavio
was running. His mom was campaigning for him wearing an Israeli flag shirt.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Can you imagine the map if it falls to him?
Well, it's all blue, except for Uruguay.
Oh my God.
It's scary.
I don't know what to do.
Anyway, that's all we have for today. Guys, don't forget our new schedule is Tuesdays and Thursdays, same time, same places. And we'll see you on Sunday with David for a big Africa episode. DDG Africa is coming. You can't stop it.
Can't stop it. Won't stop it. Lots of love, everybody.